sometimes I really feel like a fish out of water. And so to park me down in a group, doing a photo shoot, it's really different for me. And mugging for the camera or doing goofy things, I'm just really square. I'm not very much of an artist mentality.
Prostrate, kneeling on the floor, skin and bone against a board, nervous brow and sweaty fingers, and dimpled chin.
The typical 1970s, my parents, get together, have a little fling, and go, oh, maybe we should get married now, because we have a couple in the oven. My mom was like 17, my dad's 24, just out of Vietnam kind of thing. My mom just got painted as this harlot and irresponsible person that obviously was so irresponsible. She got pregnant at 17, so how could she be responsible to raise children? Two little girls that were basically tomboys being raised by my dad in this little Kansas town out on a farm. My dad remarried when we were 5, so he's been remarried for 20 some odd years now. It was just really hard. There was a lot of emotional abuse going on in the family. Whenever, tempers would flare in the argument department, you're just like your mother, you're just going to be just like your mother. Academically, I was at the top of my class. I started doing music. I was bringing home awards and laying it down on the table, and just to have that go, well, are you going to go feed the dogs? Because the dogs need to be fed, and they weren't fed last week when you came home. It didn't matter how much I tried, and it didn't matter how many things that I did that were successful. It didn't make me worth anything because I'd already proven that I already knew in the back of my mind that I'd done the best that I could. It got to a point where I almost didn't even believe that I was worth anything. It's a really bizarre living to live on 8 wheels and go to bed in a coffin every night. In a whole year, I've spent 8 months on that bus. You have a front lounge with a kitchenette and a microwave and a small refrigerator, and then you have your bunk area. It has 12 people. It's kind of their coffins. They're about literally like a coffin. You pull the curtain, it's completely dark in there. Both lounges have full entertainment systems like CD player, cassette deck, video, like a VCR, and TV and surround sound, which our back lounge is pretty cool because it's got subwoofers under the seat, so you can really crank the movies and like action adventure films. We've got the bass loading, or like when we play like James Bond on Nintendo, we crank it up and we're shooting people in a really Christian way. It's deja vu. I get up, I brush my teeth, I take a shower in the same locker room. I swear I took a shower in yesterday. But somebody tells me I'm in a different state. But what state is it? Usually, like in the afternoon, I go to an in-store like we did today, or do a handful of interviews, either radio, sometimes live, sometimes kind of like we're doing right now. And then sound check starts around 5:30, something like that. I go out on stage, I set up my gear. Sometime in there, if it's really hectic, I've got to squeeze in tech in my stuff, change the strings on my guitars and whatnot. It's the most exciting time of the day. Well, we'll have devotionals usually for about half an hour, then I'll get ready. And usually by 7 or 7:30, we're hitting the stage.
From glass alabaster, she poured out the depths of her soul.
My sister was, God bless her, she was always like the frailest of each one of us. And about the point that we were young teenagers, probably 12 or 13, she just couldn't take it anymore. Decided to go live with my mom, and I felt like a chicken because I stayed there and I wanted to leave so bad. I definitely ended up staying with my father until I graduated high school, just because I felt guilty most of the time. I flat out just felt guilty for abandoning my dad. And part of it was like, well, maybe I could just convince them enough that I'm a decent kid, maybe they can love me before I leave. It was pretty obvious to me that I wasn't going to get what I needed there, so I ran. I went to college on a music scholarship, which was great. I figured that I spent close to $2,000 in 2 months on alcohol alone, and couldn't even remember some of the nights or what I'd done for maybe like a week at a time.
Point your fingers, laugh if you
I hit the bottom of my life. I'm this aggressive, cussing like a sailor. I walk into the cafeteria, I smoke 4 packs of cigarettes a day, and people like turn around and watch me come into the room. I had gone through this phase of maybe God exists, maybe it doesn't. I'm just waiting for you to make something right here because my life sucks.
I'm weak, I'm poor, I'm broken, Lord, but I'm yours. Hold me now.
About 2 a.m., I'm sitting at a Hardee's and arguing why I couldn't become a Christian. And every time I answered it at the end, somehow or other, it made sense. Coming out of a lot of alcohol abuse, sexual relationships, and just making a lot of horrible decisions against myself and punishing myself a lot because I figured that's kind of what my worth was, so I might as well just prove it.
Hold me now.
I started playing guitar probably my senior year as kind of an auxiliary thing to add onto my music repertoire. Okay. I wrote a couple songs and my friends asked me to come and play them, and they were making people weep because they saw where I came from. Every night I get up there on the stage and I have to sing those things over and over again. And if they came out of a bad place, I have to revisit it and not forget where I came from. And I walk out on stage sometimes and I'm frustrated because people are screaming my name. I love you, Jennifer. I'm going... You just want to throw your guitar off and go, man, you just missed it. I want you to scream, I love God. Something. Just not that.
Sister, I know I let you down. I can tell by the fact you'll never come around. You don't have to say a thing. I can tell by your eyes exactly what you mean. That is trying to get down on my knees and pray.
The song Undo Me is an actual acting out of about 20 years of growing up in my family. I was angry about it when we talk about my sister, talk about my dad, talk about my mom. And I realized as far as what grace meant and forgiveness meant, no matter how much I've been wronged, there was a side of God that said, you know what, you've been treated pretty lousy, okay? I know you're hurt. We'll deal with that. You are not responsible for whether or not they seek my forgiveness. You have sins that you have to take care of and that you're responsible for. And that was hard to hear. I'm very honored of my place in the body of Christ because I wasn't raised in the church. I want to be able to walk into a secular club and still be able to talk about the things I talk about in the church.
You guys are really doing a hard work, and I just want you guys to know I appreciate that. I love that. I'm inspired by that.
It's really basic. Just wishing you had a dad that loved you the way that you think he should, and wishing you had a mom. Like right now, I'm in the process of just strengthening my relationship with my mom, and I love that. I haven't seen my dad in 3 years. I don't think that my dad's solely responsible for reestablishing a relationship. Like for the last 6 months or so, for me personally, I've just kind of been trying to figure out what it is I'm supposed to do. You know, if I'm just supposed to write a letter and kind of lay down the gauntlet and say, in case you were wondering, I'm still here and still available for a relationship if you want that. I'm not a good girl 100% of the time. I want to be, I seek to be, but I can't. I stumble and I fall. I've made good decisions and bad decisions in the past. Today, I've made good decisions and bad decisions, and tomorrow I will. But when it comes down to it, what is it that God finds when he searches my heart? And those are the things ultimately that I strive to be and strive to put as a placement of all that I do, artist or not.